Yay, I love frozen yogurt. I wonder how it's made. I could tell you that. Who are you? I'm Froyo, your frozen yogurt pal, who can explain the process of lactic acid fermentation. Lactic acid fermentation? Yes, yogurts are made using the process of lactic acid fermentation. Really? Yes, and lactic acid fermentation is also essential in keeping the yogurt fresh. Wow, how does it do all of that? Well, to explain the process properly, we need to go over the process of glycolysis first. Let's go! Okay, glycolysis is a catabolic metabolic pathway that converts one molecule of glucose, a 6-carbon molecule, into 2 molecules of pyruvate, a 3-carbon molecule. So 3 times 2 is 6, through a series of 10 steps. This is the 10 steps in diagram form. Let's go more in depth. Through this process, 2 molecules of NAD+ are reduced to NADH in step 6. Then, in order for glycolysis to continue, the NAD+ molecules must be replenished, or else glycolysis will halt, producing no ATP or energy. To do this, the pyruvate end products go through fermentation, which is essentially an NADH-NAD+ cycle under anaerobic conditions. And then we end the process with 2 molecules of our end product pyruvate. Wow, who knew so much went into making yogurt? What's next? Next is the process of lactic acid fermentation specifically. Lactic acid fermentation is a specific type of fermentation that converts these 2 molecules of pyruvate into 2 molecules of lactate or lactic acid as seen here. This is a single-step process that takes place through the use of enzyme lactate dehydrogenase. Lactate dehydrogenase catalyzes the reduction of the ketone group in the pyruvate into the secondary alcohol we see in lactate. The ketone is reduced by accepting a proton from the NADH produced from glycolysis, leaving the NAD+ as a byproduct that can then go back and be used in step 6 of glycolysis. Wow, that's all so interesting. Well, what does this have to do with yogurt? Well, lactic acid fermentation is the main pathway of glucose catabolism in gram-positive bacteria. These bacteria are referred to as lactic acid bacteria, or LAB. Included in this category are genera such as Streptococcus, Lactobacillus, and Bifidobacterium. This is relevant as Streptococcus consists of many human pathogens, while Lactobacilli and Bifidobacteria are part of the human intestines and GI tract, such as cows. The lactic acid bacteria are then present in the milk fermented and used to make things such as yogurt. This may sound gross, having bacteria in your yogurt, but it's actually beneficial in that lactic acid inhibits potential harmful microorganisms that can contribute to food spoilage. How does it do that? Well, to answer that question, we must first discuss homolactic and heterolactic fermentation. Homolactic fermentation is comparatively very simple. It takes the pyruvate produced from glycolysis and reduces it directly into lactate, like in our general overview of lactate fermentation I mentioned earlier. Heterolactic fermentation differs in that it produces both lactic acid and ethanol using a similar pathway to the pentose phosphate pathway. In such a pathway, the pentose sugar is oxidized further into lactic acid and ethanol, which is a form of anaerobic sugar metabolism, meaning it breaks down sugar in the absence of oxygen. However, just because it lacks respiration and undergoes fermentation as typical anaerobes doesn't mean the process can't happen in an anoxic environment. This is what makes lab metabolism so interesting. They are referred to as aerotolerant anaerobes. One could say that they chose to perform fermentation instead of respiration. But I thought respiration was more energetically favorable, produces more ATP. It is, but labs prefer to undergo fermentation so that they can produce large amounts of lactic acid. This means that they are acid tolerant, and with that comes the ability to change their environment to favor their own growth. Essentially, they make the environment more acidic for themselves. In doing so, they inhibit the growth of non-acid tolerant organisms, like the ones that could cause things such as food spoilage. And that is how frozen yogurt is made, and importantly, how it stays fresh. Crazy how all of that goes into making something that tastes so good. Thanks, Froyo, for all the information.